Okay, you guys have asked for sublimation tumbler tutorials, so here we go. First, we're going to pull out our cup here. You do need to make sure that it is a sublimation tumbler. It does have a special coating for that ink to stick. You can't just use a regular tumbler. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to cut down the image. Now, this took me a few tries. I just got this cutter. I was using scissors before, but then my hand, well, isn't always so steady. So hence the cutting. So I'm just going to size it down a little bit. I do cut a little bit at a time just to make sure that I'm not cutting too much. I mean, you know, if you cut too much, then, well, you're kind of hosed because then you just kind of ruin that image. So we're just trimming this down a little bit. You don't want a big overlap. That's going to show a bigger seam. I still, in the end, got a little bit more overlap than I had planned, but it's okay. So, like I said, we're just going to cut this down. Then I kind of measure it on the cup just to see how close I am to that seam. I have seen a lot of people that measure it upright like this. I prefer to just lay it down. I think it's just, I don't know, maybe it's the way my brain works. It's a little bit easier for me to kind of line it all up and things like that. So here you're just going to see me kind of measuring, seeing if I'm close as far as the seam or if too much overlap, which I do right here. So I'm just going to go cut that back down some more and then we will press it. Okay, so the key with sublimation tumblers, you have to get your image as tightly wrapped around the cup as possible. That will help avoid any ghosting, which means it's almost kind of looks faded, like it didn't quite transfer enough, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So I'm using this new tool that I just got. I saw it on TikTok. I will link it down below for you. It just kind of helps keep everything steady. Like I said, you want it as tight as possible. You want that image to like be glued to the cup. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean. And the way that I've always done it, I just tape down the middle. I did start to tape around the edges when I very first started doing sublimation tumblers. And then I tried it without and I realized I didn't really need it after all, as long as this part right here is very secure. Now here's the key. I get a paintbrush, you can see here, the back of my razor blade, whatever it is, and I really push that seam down. That will help eliminate the whole seam part in the back of your tumbler. Okay, so as far as settings, I put mine at 356 degrees for 60 seconds. I always start with the seam up and I press it for 60 seconds at a medium pressure. Once that 60 seconds is up, I will rotate it all the way around. So we're going to put seam down here and we're going to press it another 60 seconds. So I've tried a couple different settings. This one seems to get the most vibrant colors for my cup. So this is what I use, but each machine is different. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so now that we've pressed it both times on 60 seconds, I go around the edges and do maybe 8 to 10 seconds and just flip it 2 or 3 times just to make sure there's no ghosting at the very end. And then once your cup is pressed, you can either do a hot peel or a cool peel. I did let this cool for a minute while I set up my tripod in another area. And then that way I didn't have to use gloves when I unwrapped it. But just remember that tumbler is going to be very, very hot when it comes out. Make sure you use those heat resistant gloves or it's hot, guys, it's hot. So we're gonna go ahead and reveal it. Who's ready? I'm so excited. I absolutely love this print. I got it just in time for Mother's Day and so excited. Okay, so as far as removing the image, you could be like a kid on Christmas and just tear it and rip it and do the whole thing. I like to kind of peel it back because, I don't know, I like the whole reveal. I don't know. Don't ask me. It's just what I do. I have no explanation. But I just take the tape off, reveal it, and that's it. There's no sealing. Once it's cool, it's ready to go. So, and all around, it maybe takes me about 10 minutes to do a tumbler. So I love sublimation for that. It's less mess. It's faster. I don't have to charge as much for the tumblers. All my sublimation tumblers are $25. So I'm really happy that I started doing sublimation tumblers. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Anyways, if you have any questions, let me know below. I will do some more on some glass tumblers and things like that coming up. But thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you all have a great weekend.